Hey, what's going on, guys? This is AndrewChicken, and welcome back to another video. Today, we have the Anniversary PTS update notes to go over. This is such an exciting update. It honestly is probably the best update of the year. I'm really looking forward to trying out the PTS, and there's just so much good content to go over, so let's jump right in. First up, we have Siege Remixed, which is a brand new game mode, but also a really old game mode that's before most of our time, right? Most of us have not experienced this, and so it's going to be fresh content, but it's also content so far from the past, it's almost a decade old. It's so cool, and I can't believe it's coming back. So this is basically the alpha version of Siege from way back in the game's alpha and the game's closed beta. These are three huge maps, which I'll have kind of showcased on the screen here, that are the predecessors of many of the Siege maps that we have in the game currently. So the first map is Enchanted Forest. This map eventually became Fish Market and Timbermill. Most of the map is basically just Fish Market, but it's really spread out, and there's a lot of stuff in between. There's a lot of forest parts, shrubs, and just random towers and stuff. It's super cool, and it's massive. These maps are basically 3 times larger than any Siege map we have in the game currently, because most of them are 3 Siege maps combined. It's so cool. The next map is Temple Ruins. This map eventually became Serpent Beach, Jaguar Falls, and Frog Isle. And this map is also just super detailed. All of these maps are very detailed, very awesome, and they have the old layouts of many of these maps. Like, the objective areas will look familiar, but there'll still be a lot of just subtle key differences, and then there are also places throughout the maps that are just totally unique. It feels like a crazy, expansive, sprawling experience, and it is so cool to see. The last map is my personal favorite. I think this map looks tremendous. It is gorgeous, and it looks like it's going to be so much fun to play on with all of its nice little layout details. This is Glacier Keep, and the map eventually became Ice Mines and Frozen Guard. And it was going to have a third map as well, which would go by the same name, Glacier Keep, but it was removed very shortly after its release. And you can see a lot of the details of these maps, but there's also just a whole bunch of different pathways and a whole bunch of different stuff going on. The spawn regions looks like they're going to be so much fun to play around, and it's honestly just a dream. This is going to be a huge nostalgia wave for a lot of people, but it's also going to feel like, well, remixed current content and just a fresh new experience for 99% of the player base that's currently playing today. This is before my time. I never even got to play this, and I am ancient! I've been playing this game for 6 years now. So, yeah. So what is this game mode exactly? This is Alpha Siege, and the rules for this implementation of Siege Remixed are going to be very similar to the standard Siege, with one important exception. The beginning of each round will randomly select one of the 3 available capture points across the map, with new payload paths generated as a result. So again, there are 3 objective areas. You can kind of see them, and yeah, you'll basically just have to go to one of those. The game will randomly choose, and so each fight should be pretty unique. And then you'll just basically have to push that payload to the enemy team's base as normal. Now, there are some other custom rules as well. Due to the sheer size of the maps, the respawn timer for attacking teams is set to 5 seconds, and remounting is enabled for all players. Unlike payload, remounting actually makes a lot of sense here, because the maps, again, are 3 times the size of normal Siege maps, and there's actually dynamic fights where each objective is going to be in a different area. So this is really cool. And also, one important thing to note about how you're actually going to access this mode is it's going to be permanently available throughout this patch. It's going to be available during the week and during the weekends. But during the weekends, they'll have a random limited time mode sort of rule set thrown onto them. So, for example, one weekend, you might have Choose Any. You can play 5 Androxuses, I guess, although I'm not sure why you'd do that on Siege Remix, but the next weekend, you might be able to play Cards to the Max, where everyone has level 7 cards. So yeah, weekends are going to get super spicy, but during the weekdays, you'll be able to play this game mode as intended, which is, I think, a very smart implementation. I think they learned from the payload implementation that it's a good idea to have these custom game modes available throughout the entire week, not just during the weekdays like they did with payload. That still was just so silly. But yeah, there are also some notes here for the people who did play Paladins. The 1% who played Paladins back when these maps still existed. There are no engine or vault door mechanics in this mode. They couldn't be implemented for now. Each capture point follows current siege rules with our current card. So the really old implementation of this basically had some different mechanics. The matches lasted much longer, and you would capture the objective, and then not a payload, but a siege engine would spawn. And those siege engines would be used to destroy gates, and you basically have progression where you would have to destroy one gate, then destroy another gate, and then you would finally be able to blow up their vault, and that's how you would win. And the phrasing of this, saying implemented for now, makes me think that they're working on trying to bring this back for a future update, which is super, super exciting. And then they also are saying that the bright yellow light that indicates which capture point was selected could not be implemented for now, but it doesn't affect gameplay. And also the ground floor of each map needed to be changed to prevent the game from crashing on consoles, and as a result you will notice a single material applied to the ground of all three maps. Grass for Enchanted Forest and Temple Ruins, and then snow for Glacier Keep, similar to how they adjusted the payload maps. It doesn't affect gameplay, but it does affect visuals. On some of the maps, it's less noticeable than others. I think on Enchanted Forest, it's really apparent, but you will still notice some custom floor details like these planks here, and some of the rocks on Temple Ruins. And Glacier Keep, I didn't even notice until they pointed it out, because you've still got a lot of details like these gray paths, and these blue ice bricks, and these stairs. So, yeah, just a minor detail. But the thing is, these maps still retain all of the details that, were added so many years ago. When these maps got broken up into siege maps, they still retained a lot of details, but then in the purge of OB70, I'm pretty sure it was OB70, at some point in time, these maps all got purged, right? The current siege maps we have now, Brightmarsh, etc. And they lost a lot of their details. These maps weren't even in the game, so they didn't get touched. They still have all of their details. And in particular, this ice map is just gorgeous. It is loaded up with detail. It is amazing. And yeah, you'll also be able to experience pre-visual rework Frozen Guard, which I think looks really, really nice. It fits in a lot more with the Paladins theme. I feel like the current Frozen Guard looks like more of a Christmas card than Paladins. This is classic Paladins, and it is so amazing. I cannot wait to play on these maps. They look gorgeous. Speaking of the purge of OB70, we're getting another really, really amazing quality of life change for Brightmarsh. Oh no, my precious Brightmarsh is getting changed. Whatever shall I do? No, it's not like that. It's not a full rework. It's not even remotely a layout rework. None of that. Nothing like what they did to Warder's Gate. Rest in peace. No. The details that were removed in the Great Purge of these maps are being restored on Brightmarsh. On the screen, of course, there is a comparison, a before and after. Shout out to Kana for compiling this footage. It shows the difference between these two maps before and after the purge. So many details were removed, and all of them are coming back. This is so exciting for anyone who enjoys the Paladins aesthetic, loves the detail that they put in these maps, the care that they put in so many years ago that got removed. It's just going to make the map feel more alive, more beautiful. It's super, super exciting, and this is setting a precedent where hopefully many of the other maps that actually got hit harder than Brightmarsh will be able to get their details back too. Because Primal Court, for example, is an example of a map that got hit extremely, extremely hard. All of the leaves on the top of the map, a lot of the foliage that decorated the place, just got snapped. It doesn't feel like a jungle. Hasn't felt like a jungle for years, even though it's in the middle of the jungle. Yeah, it doesn't make sense. And a lot of these details were removed specifically to allow for Switch to be a platform that Paladins is on. Switch has horrible memory limitations, and they nerfed these maps to compensate. They gutted the details of these maps. Now that Switch no longer has to be supported, they can do stuff like this, where they're bringing back these gigantic maps from the alpha, and they're restoring details on the maps that got removed so many years ago. This is so awesome. The stuff that they're going to be able to do in these upcoming patches is amazing, and these are just such good changes, especially, again, for someone who's a veteran of the game like me. I'm so happy to see this. This is genuinely incredible. And yeah, even though, again, Brightmarsh isn't going to be affected gameplay-wise, it's so nice to see, and it's going to be great to just watch these maps become alive again. It's so cool. I'm so happy. I'm nerding out. I'm rambling. Let's move on and talk about some of the other stuff. The patch notes here only talk about Alpha Siege here, or Siege Remixed as they're calling it, and the balance. There is one super huge detail they're leaving out, and that is all the free stuff you're going to be able to get. That's right. To celebrate their anniversary, they're giving away a bunch of free stuff. They've created 5 anniversary skins, which are basically kind of collector's edition recolors of the 5 of the most popular and defining characters of this game. So Androxus, Maeve, Ceres, Ying, and Victor are all getting basically custom anniversary skins. And some parts of the skins look really good. I love the pattern that they have on their pants and their kind of cloaks, their skirts or whatever, and all the blue details as well. In my opinion, I feel like the fade from white to black is a little awkward, and it's a little shiny and weird. It's entirely subjective, of course, but the skins also have a lot of details on them, just kind of little trinkets added in, like Maeve, of course, has her birthday hat on, and also some cat ears, which is pretty cute. So yeah, these skins are they're pretty nice, and the weapons, in my opinion, look a little bit better than the skins, at least for most of them. Ceres' weapon in particular is quite nice, and they all have custom visual effects. They spray out a bunch of confetti. When you kill somebody, they explode with balloons. It's really cool. The VFX work, I mean, they always knock it out of the park, and they certainly knocked it out of the park here. So very, very nice stuff. And also, all champions will just have those custom VFX whenever they kill somebody this patch, but after this patch is over, the only skins that are going to have those VFX are these anniversary skins. And just by playing, you get 1 free roll of the chests that these skins are in. There's basically a chest with all 5 of the skins. You get 1 free roll just for playing the game. And then after that, you are going to have to buy the remaining 4 skins from these chests, but you get at least 1 free skin, which is pretty cool. But that's not where the free stuff ends, because they're also going to have basically this sort of limited, I guess, temporary event shop, where by playing 15 games, you'll be able to unlock a ticket. And that ticket will allow you to purchase one of the limited recolors of the skins from the Battle Pass system that was in the game for like 3 years. So there are a bunch of Battle Passes, like the Remixed Battle Pass, which has, you know, the exclusive dark limited recolor of the Strix skin. There's the Beach Bash Battle Pass, which had exclusive limited recolors of like Leon and Kinessa. And those recolors have not been made available at all after the Battle Passes were gone, until now. So you'll be able to get one of these limited recolors. Again, just for playing 15 games, it's free. You don't have to pay for it. This is super, super exciting for anyone who wants these limited recolors. So you better be playing the game during this anniversary update, because this is a very exclusive thing. And I can't wait to get some of those skins that I missed out on, because there were some battle passes where I just was not enjoying the game, and so I didn't complete them. And I have not been able to get those skins. This is really, really cool. There's one last brief thing to mention, and that is that Ranked is getting a very nice change. There are now 4 bans per team instead of 3. 8 bans in total. People have been begging for 1 extra ban ever since crossplay has been added to Ranked, and it's finally here. Still no crossplay icons, still no icons showing who is controller and who is PC, or keyboard, excuse me. I'm hoping those will be added maybe in a later update, but this is a great start. 1 extra ban in Ranked? Yes, please. Now, let's finally talk about balance. There's one kind of bad change when it comes to the balance, but the rest of the balance I think is actually pretty good. This is just such a solid update. So, first let's talk about the item balance. Bulldozer is getting buffed from 75% to 90% bonus damage to deployables, which will make it a much more savory item when against, you know, very tanky deployables like Inara's Wall, Azan's Wall, Luna, etc. I do feel bad, though, for characters like Ying, whose deployables are just going to get melted now. Like, if you pick Ying with Inara and the enemy team picks up Bulldozer, your illusions are just dead. No more illusions for you. So, yeah, I feel like they're going to have to buff some of the weaker deployables in the game to compensate for this, but this definitely makes sense versus stuff like Inara Wall again, so very fair change, and yeah, it's the same efficacy as Wrecker now, but for basically half the cost. Sounds like a good deal to me. Next up, we have a Rejuvenate nerf. Its price is being increased from 200 per tier to 225 per tier. I'm not a super huge fan of inflation in this game. I don't like items being more expensive, and it's going to throw off some of the things you're able to do, like buy Rejuvenate and Morale Boost, for example, or Rejuvenate Deft Hands or whatever. But I understand where they're coming from, because Rejuvenate is a very powerful item right now, especially with how powerful some of the healers are in this game. I guess it makes sense. Now, we get to the absolute worst change here when it comes to the balance. And this is something that they're going to need a ton of feedback on, so pay attention. This first change is fine. Alright, Atlas is getting his second chance cooldown reduced from 18 seconds to 16 seconds. Okay, that's sensible, that's fine. The real problem is with this change. Temporal Divide is the big wall talent. It's the wall that cuts the map in half. Its cooldown penalty is removed. No more cooldown penalty. This talent originally would increase the cooldown by 50%, and it was already a huge cooldown. It was a 14-second cooldown, and the cooldown penalty made it a 21-second cooldown, which was fair, because, again, the wall cuts the map in half. It's basically his second ultimate. That cooldown penalty is gone. And this is actually a really, really big deal, because it's buffing it by 7 seconds. So it's only a 14-second cooldown now on an ability that can cut the map in half, but it's actually way lower than that, because if you buy Chronos 3, as basically every Atlas player does, you can take that 14-second cooldown down closer to a 10-second cooldown. That's already terrifying. But then, there's a card called Phantom Pain, which reduces the cooldown by 5 seconds if you hit the rewind. So you can take that 10-second cooldown and take it down to a 5-second cooldown on a barrier that is indestructible and covers the entire map. Yeah. Atlas is going to be permabanned in high-level ranked. I'm not entirely sure about, like, low to mid-level ranked, because Atlas is still the highest skill tank in the game, bar none, and most people don't play him at, like, you know, gold to plat level. But, at least in high-level ranked, Atlas is permabanned or must pick. This is insane. The only penalty they've given it to compensate is that the duration is reduced from 5 seconds to 3.5 seconds, which they could have just done without removing the cooldown penalty, and it would have been actually a fair balance change. The thing is, this is not sufficient enough to compensate for that cooldown penalty, because 3.5 seconds is still a pretty substantial window of time. Because most characters with their, you know, their DPS numbers, they can roughly kill about 1 to 2 characters in that span of time, if they're left unchecked. And this ability allows them to remain unchecked because it gives them cover no matter where they are. Yeah, no, this is not okay, and they are going to need a lot of feedback on this. We're going to have to do a lot of testing with this change on the PTS. I'm scared. But luckily, this is basically the only bad change here. Next up is, I mean, it could also be viewed as bad change. I view it as completely unnecessary, because I think Azan was already strong, and he's just getting a motley of buffs here. So his health is going up from 4,250 to 4,400. Yeah, I'm not sure why either. Sanctuary is getting its cooldown reduced from 14 seconds to 13 seconds. Okay, I guess. And then his passive Ire is getting a lot of buffs here. Rate of Ire generation on damage dealt taken increased by 17%. So you're going to need, I think, 2 fewer hammer shots to reach max Ire, which is a very big deal. And then they also increased the delay before draining Ire by 17%. And they reduced the decay rate of Ire by 10%. So you're going to have your Ire much longer now. If I see anyone picking Eternal after this buff, I will personally report you. Eternal is worthless now. These buffs, I think, are totally unnecessary. And Eternal, I mean, you're getting even less out of it now. and it also nerfs your DPS, so please don't pick Eternal. I think every single change listed here is totally unnecessary. I think Azan was already really strong. If you've seen my ranked videos on him, you can see how effortlessly I'm able to do good in these ranked matches. Like, Azan is very powerful. And his base kit is just getting buffed for some reason, even though his base kit is already, like, super, super strong. What he really needs attention given to is his talents. His talents are terrible. His base kit is so good that you could pick Persistence as his meta talent, and all Persistence does is give him 30% lifesteal. It's an item! It's not a talent. So I really don't get why we're buffing his base kit. Persistence needs a rework because it's just bad talent design. Eternal needs a rework because it's just bad talent design. You nerf your DPS and you get almost nothing in return. And then Tempering, I mean, it's a fine enough talent, I guess, but people don't pick it because they don't like long cooldowns. So his talents are really where he needs attention because his talent design is awful. If you want good talent design, go look over at Barrack. Barrack has really good talent design because he has 3 distinct fun playstyles. Fortify is his default playstyle, where you have the default blunderbuss and the default ultimate, and then you get a shield. Yeah, that's pretty good. Then you go Tinkerin. Tinkerin completely gives him a different weapon. It's a totally different weapon. It turns into a long-ranged projectile as opposed to a short-range shotgun. And then you can go Forgefire, which completely reworks his ultimate. Instead of having one big flamethrower with a big shield around it, you can deploy much more consistently flamethrower turrets. You can have 2 up at a time, but you sacrifice the shield. That's good talent design. That gives him 3 distinct playstyles. Azan doesn't have that. He has jokes. He has one joke, and then he has one joke that also nerfs his DPS, and then he has one talent that... okay. So that's where he needs attention. I don't think his base kit needs any of these changes, personally. But yeah, everything else from here is pretty much just smooth sailing, very sensible, very fun changes. And the next change, I, as a BK main, am so excited for. This is a really good change. Bomb King's Royal Subjects is getting completely reworked. No more just newbie Bomb Kings picking Royal Subjects and just using it as a crutch talent, right? Royal Subjects currently gives his sticky bombs much greater explosion radius, allowing him to hit free damage. For new players, it's a crutch talent. It prevents them from getting better at the character, and it means basically anyone can play Bomb King, as long as they have good ping. But for skilled players, such as myself, it's a very powerful tool for cover denial. If you can exploit angles and you know how to, work the bombs, you can hit people above their shield and do full damage. You can hit them behind corners. It's free damage and really powerful cover denial. And the talent is just unhealthy, because there's no real way to balance it without making it either too strong or so weak that no one wants to pick it. So it's a very good thing it got reworked. And the rework is so exciting. Royal Subjects now grants a second charge on Poppy Bomb, but it reduces Poppy Bomb's knockback by 40%. Against enemies, I mean, not against Bomb King. Double. Royal Subjects now grants a second charge of Poppy Bomb. 2 Poppy Bombs. This is going to be so much fun. Bomb King will have so much more movement tech now, because Poppy Bomb is a pretty skillful and interesting movement ability, and you have 2 of them now. You can do double jumps mid-air. You can go flying, or you can use it for more controlled mobility. You can dive in, get a kill, dive away. This is going to be so much fun. I was suggesting that, hey, we could replace Royal Subjects with Old Accelerant, which was a talent that just increased the knockback on Poppy Bomb. This is even better than Old Accelerant because it gives him more control, and I think 2 Poppy Bombs will probably send him farther than Old Accelerant did if you use them back to back. This is going to be so much fun. The only drawback is that it decreases the knockback effect against enemies, so it's basically just a movement talent. You're not really going to be able to use this super effectively for knockback, but we'll have to see how well that scales with Jolt. Maybe Jolt will still be pretty good with this, I don't know. But yeah, I am so excited for this. This is going to raise Bomb King's skill floor. It's going to raise his skill ceiling by the tech you're able to do with Poppy Bomb. And it's going to make him more fair to fight against because you don't have all this free damage now. Yes, it's more mobility, but he's going to have to be much more precise with his aim. I think this is a great change through and through. I cannot wait. Next up, we have a very sensible change for Caspian. He's not getting too much, but this change itself is actually really good. The finer things is his movement speed card, which gives him 60% movement speed after hitting someone with his pistol. The duration on this has been doubled, from 1 second to 2 seconds. This talent got shadow nerfed, and people hated it. And now, well, hey, double duration on this. This is going to be so nice for all those Caspian mains who were frustrated that this card got nerfed. It's going to be much more consistent, very good card to run, very nice change for Caspian. Up next we have Grover. Sadly, keywords are not being removed from the game, but I think the changes they're giving to Grover and later Pip are, for the most part, okay. The weapon damage on Grover is getting increased from 300 to 350, meaning with every talent he'll be able to do more damage, especially Ferocity. And then Rampant Blooming is getting its healing nerfed pretty substantially. Reduce the initial heal from 500 to 425, 75 heal nerf, and then reduce the healing over time from 300 to 275, so down to 20, or down by 25. So generally less healing on Rampant Blooming, but he'll be doing more damage, which means he'll scale better late game. I think it'll probably be more of a net buff for Grover, which, you know, is kind of a rough thing to say considering he is top of the meta right now. But I think it's sensible. I think they still should just get rid of the keywords because it creates such funky balance, and it's totally thrown characters like Grover and Pip for a whole loop. It's bad. But not terrible changes. Next up we get to Genos. He is getting nerfed across the board on his healing output, which is definitely necessary. He is the tip-top of the meta, best support in the game right now. He's not getting nerfed back down to where he was before the buff. This is going to be in between the buff. So we have Genos before the buff, Genos after the buff, and then Genos now, right in the middle. The duration is getting reduced by 1 second, so 12 seconds down to 11 seconds. The burst heal is getting nerfed from 450 down to 400. And then the cooldown is getting nerfed from 6 seconds to 7 seconds. So it's going to be much harder to maintain full uptime on your team. You're definitely going to need to use the duration card now to maintain full uptime on your team. You're going to be able to apply the burst heal less consistently because of that cooldown nerf, and then also the heal is going to be less effective. So, very good nerfs across the board. Genos definitely needs this. He's still going to be stronger than he was, like, 3-4 months ago or whatever? But he's not going to be as strong as he is today, where he's literally at the top of the meta. So this is a very good change. Next up, we have Kasumi getting a quality of life change. Her yokai doll will now enter a new locked animation where she fires without a valid target. So, if you can't shoot at somebody, then you'll just enter a locked animation. So, nothing else for Kasumi. Nobody cares. Moving on. Kinessa is getting, well, a few really good changes, and then one change that we're just going to have to pay a lot of attention to on the PTS and make sure we give good feedback on. So her weapon is getting reduced bloom and increased return to center speed on her carbine mode. This is the rapid fire mode. It's not the sniper mode, and it's a really good change because her carbine mode is generally not that effective. Then, let's skip down to the other really good change. Quickscope is getting implemented into base kit. This is the card that made it so your aim down sights is faster. So base aim down sights is like, whoa. With this card, your aim down sights is more like, it's much faster. So that's really nice. And it's getting replaced by Eagle Eye, which is a card that will increase the duration of her passive, her new passive. What is her new passive? Well, hitting targets in sniper mode now reveals them for 1 second. Yeah, you can see why we're going to have to pay a lot of attention to this, right? This is a very spicy passive, needless to say. And yeah, the new card basically increases the duration of that passive reveal by 0.25 seconds. So you can have up to a 2.25 second reveal. And yeah, basically the point of this passive is to help Kinessa have better follow-up. So if she hits somebody with her sniper, she'll reveal them and she'll be able to hit a follow-up shot easier. Alternatively, Kinessa can hit somebody with her sniper, and then her flank can be like, oh, that champion just got revealed. That means they're half health because Kinessa hit them. Alright, I'm going to go follow up, I'm going to chase them down, confirm that kill. So it's going to increase follow-up for Kinessa and her team, and it's definitely powerful. But the question is it too powerful? Is it unfun to play against? Is it toxic? We'll have to see about this. So, 2 really good changes here when it comes to Quickscope being put into base kit and carbine mode getting buffed. But yeah, we're going to have to pay attention to this passive. And then the last thing is just Generator got a scaling increase. Who cares? Anyways. Next up, we have 2 really nice changes to characters who generally will just benefit from them. They're basically like quality of life changes. They're really good. Precision is getting its duration increased from 3 seconds to 5 seconds on Leon. This is the skill-based talent where basically if you hit consecutive shots, you'll do more damage per shot. So you'll have more of a window of opportunity to take advantage of this bonus damage. Very nice. It's a good talent. I like the talent. It's just not meta, and this will be a nice change. And the Makoa's Shell Shield is getting its duration increased from 4 seconds to 5 seconds. This applies to all talents, not just Half Shell, by the way, but it will definitely benefit Half Shell. It'll give you 1 more second of opportunity to basically have your shield take damage and get the cooldown reset. And also, it just provides extra protection across the board. Really good change for both of these champions. Next up, we have Pip, and hallelujah! Pip's weapon damage is finally back up to 600. It never should have been nerfed in the first place, but now with Combat Medic, he'll be able to kill his own chickens again with just the basic weapon shot, explosive flask, weapon shot combo. Thank goodness. It was such a stupid change. I'm so glad it's back up to 600. And then, of course, this also affects Mega Potion and Catalyst by making them do more damage. So Mega Potion is going to be well over 600 now, and Catalyst is going to be doing 660 damage at base. And then you can add the Catalyst effect on top of that now. Catalyst might actually be a pretty serious damage option for Pip now. You might see a lot more Catalyst players, honestly. And then also Combat Medic has had its healing reduced from 750 down to 700. Which is to compensate for the fact that when they added these keywords in, Combat Medic became simply ludicrous. 950 healing per second with a 1200 potion? Yeah, no, that's not fair. That's too much. So yeah, it's definitely a sensible change, but personally, I would say, how about we just revert the keywords, because this is still just dumb. It's just dumb. Combat Medic made more sense before the keywords. You could buff the talents in other ways. You could buff Catalyst damage. Like, that's, the keywords are dumb, in my opinion. I don't like them, but if we are going to have the keywords, these are good changes. I'm still saying we should remove the keywords, though. Still firm on that position, but yeah, these are nice changes for Pip, I'm not going to lie. Weapon damage going back up, very, very good thing. Next up, Ray mains should be rejoicing, because her chain heal is much stronger now. The range has been increased from 120 to 150, meaning you'll be able to hit people much farther away. But the real bread and butter of this change is that her healing is getting a very nice buff. So it's going from 520 to 600 at base. And then with the Spirit Link attached to somebody, it's going from 676 to 780, more than 100 extra healing per bounce on someone who is linked. These are going to be really nice changes for Ray. She's still going to be bad on maps like Timbermill, where her range just is inadequate, and she's still going to be bad on maps that have severe line of sight requirements like Dawnforge. But on maps like Bazaar, oh my gosh, this is going to be really nice. And then also, her ultimate is getting buffed, or rather, a nerf reverted. Her self-damage reduction has been reset back up to 100%, meaning that her ultimate is guaranteed now, no ands, ifs, or buts about it. You press that button, you are living. It means that there's no counterplay to this ultimate again, unless you're playing Atlas. But, I mean, yeah, it's good for Ray. It's good for Ray mains, I guess. And yeah, considering Ray is not exactly super meta right now, I guess it's fine. She's all about that utility anyways, right? And self-damage reduction is utility, so yeah, I mean, this change is it's a little bit more scary, but I think this chain heal change is really just going to be super healthy for this champion. Very excited for Ray mains now. This is going to be great. Next up, we have the final two balance changes. We have Terminus, who is getting another very nice quality of life change to his ultimate. Power Siphon is now refilled whenever you revive. His ultimate is finally a true revival. When you resurrect with Terminus, you're getting all your abilities back, right? Your Shatterfall is reset, your Power Siphon is reset, your Calamity Blast has such a low cooldown that it doesn't matter that it doesn't technically get reset by the ultimate. That's nice. This is really good for Terminus players. However, his base kit, when you're not ulting, I think still needs some work. I think he should still have a movement speed passive, because he is the only true melee character in the game. So a movement speed passive would help him out. And then also, I think he should do more damage. I don't think his close range damage is good enough. He's in the same damage bracket as Makoa and Barrack, but Makoa and Barrack have infinitely more range than him. He should punish people harder if they do manage to get close to him, especially because of how much mobility we have in this game. Terminus is useless against flanks. He can't hit them. So, if he has the opportunity to actually get close, he should be doing more like 700 or 750 damage, in my opinion. But yeah, let me know what you think about that. This is just a great change, though. This is genuinely nice, and super happy for Terminus. And then Yaggroth is getting, I guess, a buff, technically. But it's not really anything super crazy, I don't think. Unnatural Persistence is getting its healing tick rate slowed from 0.25 seconds to 1 second, so much slower healing tick rate. But its base heal is going up per tick from 25 to 110, so slightly more healing now, as a result, per second. The scaling of the effect, this is actually the biggest buff here, is going from 4 per tick to 50 per tick. So this is actually significantly faster. Basically, in 1 second before, you'd be getting 16 extra healing, right? Or 16 scaling, because you take this 4, multiply it by 4 because of the tick rate. Now it's going up to 50, so this is substantially faster than 16. And then the maximum heal is going from 65 per tick up to 275 per tick, so also a slight buff on the max healing you get. The main thing is that it is going to ramp up much faster now. But the healing is only slightly stronger, and it's still on natural persistence, right? It still encourages you to play a point play style with Yaggorath, when Yaggorath is one of the furthest things from a point tank you can have. So I think it's still an unhealthy talent, but at least if you are going to play it, it's going to be more effective now, so that's good, I guess. Kind of just a moot change for Yaggorath. Doesn't really mean too much, I don't think, but I guess it's love for Yaggorath, I guess? Yeah. Point is, the balance of this patch is actually pretty good for the most part. We do have some questionable stuff. Azan, I don't think, should be getting buffed. This passive is interesting, and Atlas, of course, definitely the worst part of this update when it comes to Temporal Divide. This is a bad change, in my opinion. We're going to really need to pay attention, again, to this, to Azan, to Bomb King's rework, and to Kinessa's new passive. That's what we're going to have to pay the most attention to, test the most on the PTS, and give the most feedback on. So, prepare to let them know how you feel about this stuff, I guess. I am so excited for this Bomb King rework, though. And a lot of the rest of the balance looks really good. And also, the rest of the stuff coming this update is insane. This new mode, I cannot wait to play it. I've never played it before. It looks like it's going to be so much fun, and I can't wait to explore these maps. This looks like a dream. Brightmarsh getting its details back? Sign me up. 4 bans in ranked, that is incredible. And this new free skin event, this update is actually insane. I am of the opinion that this might be the best update of the year so far. At the very least, it's one of the best updates we've had in a very long time. Super, super exciting. Let me know, of course, what you think in the comment section down below. And while you're down there, hey, make sure to make sure to like the video and subscribe so you don't miss out on future content from me. I'm trying to get to 60,000 subscribers by the time this update comes out, which is to say in late June. So please help me get to 60,000 subscribers. We are so close. And yeah, with all that being said, thank you guys for watching. I will see you all next time. Peace out.